Hey guys, back today with Love Dare Day 7, and this is Love Believes the Best. Love believes all things and hopes all things. That's 1 Corinthians 13:7. So let's just go ahead and get started here. In the deep and private corridors of your heart, there's a room. It's called the Appreciation Room. It's where your thoughts go when you encounter positive and encouraging things about your spouse. And ever so often, you enjoy visiting this special place. On the walls are written kind words and phrases describing the good attributes of your mate. This may include characteristics like honest and intelligent, or phrases like hard worker, wonderful cook, or beautiful eyes. They're things you've discovered about your husband or wife that have embedded themselves in your memory. When you think about these things, your appreciation for your spouse begins to increase. In fact, the more time you spend meditating on these positive attributes, the more grateful you are for your mate. Most things in the Appreciation Room were likely written in the initial stages of your relationship. You could summarize them as things you liked and respected about your loved one. Each inscription was true, honorable, and good, and you spent a great deal of time dwelling on them in this room before you were married. But you may have found that you don't visit this special room as often as you once did. That's because there's another competing room nearby. Down another dark corridor of your heart lies the Depreciation Room, and sadly you visit there as well. On its walls are written the things that bother and irritate you most about your spouse. You place these words and opinions there out of frustration, hurt feelings, and the disappointment of unmet expectations. This room is lined with the weaknesses and failures of your husband or wife. Their bad habits, hurtful words, and poor decisions are written in large letters that cover the walls from one end to the other. If you stay in this room long enough, you get depressed and start expressing things like, "My wife is so selfish," or "My husband can be such a jerk," or maybe "I think I married the wrong person." I can stop there a second and make a comment. One of the things that's going to alleviate that, because we're all human, right? We all have our dark sides. We're all struggling through some things. But when I am spending time with the Lord, and I'm not just talking about reading the Bible and praying, because we throw that out real quick. I'm talking about connecting with Him to where I feel what He feels. I feel loved. I feel like I'm His beloved son, like He really delights in me just for no reason at all, not because I've done anything, but just because He loves. If I'm really connecting with Him in that way consistently, then I tend to think the way that He thinks about my wife, and that's good. So sometimes it's just that we get too focused in on trying to make our husband or wife the answer to our problems, and they're not. Our marriage is for holiness, not for happiness. And so God has to be first and foremost in that, for the love that comes only from God to you to come through you, and then be grateful for them, be grateful for who they are, and then you become that complement to them that you're meant to be. So, okay, let's get back to it. Some people write very hateful things in this room, where tell-off statements are rehearsed for the next argument. Emotional injuries fester here, adding more scathing remarks to the walls. It's where ammunition is kept for the next big fight, and bitterness is allowed to spread like a disease. People fall out of love here. But know this, spending time in the Depreciation Room kills marriages. Divorces are plotted in this room, and violent plans are schemed. The more time you spend in this place, the more your heart devalues your spouse. It begins the moment you walk in the door, and your care for them lessens with every second that ticks by. You may say, "But these things are true." Yes, but so are the things in the Appreciation Room. Everyone fails and has areas that need growth. Everyone has unresolved issues, hurts, and personal baggage. This is a sad aspect of being human. But we've all sinned. But we possess this unfortunate tendency to downplay our own negative attributes while putting our partner's failures under the magnifying glass. Let's get down to the real issue here. Love knows about the depreciation room and does not live in denial that it exists, but love chooses not to live there. You must decide to stop running to this room and lingering there after every frustrating event in your relationship. It does you no good and drains the joy out of your marriage. Love chooses to believe the best about people. It gives them the benefit of the doubt. It refuses to fill in the unknowns with negative assumptions. And when our worst hopes are proven to be true, love makes every effort to deal with them and move forward. As much as possible, love focuses on the positive. It's time to start thinking differently. It's time to let love lead your thoughts and your focus. The only reason you should glance in the door of the depreciation room is to know how to pray for your spouse. And the only reason you should ever go in this room is to write "covered in love" in huge letters across the walls. It's time to move into the appreciation room, to settle down and make it your home. As you choose to meditate on the positives, you'll learn that many more wonderful character qualities could be written across these walls. Your spouse is a living, breathing, endless book to be read. Dreams and hopes have yet to be realized. Talents and abilities may be discovered like hidden treasures, but the choice to explore them starts with a decision by you. You must develop the habit of reining in your negative thoughts and focusing on the positive attributes of your mate. This is a crucial step as you learn to lead your heart to truly love your spouse. It is a decision that you make, whether they deserve it or not. For today's dare, get 2 sheets of paper. On the first one, spend a few minutes writing out positive things about your spouse. Then do the same with negative things on the second sheet. Place both sheets in the secret place for another day. There's a different purpose and plan for each. At some point during the remainder of the day, pick a positive attribute from the first list and thank your spouse for demonstrating this characteristic. And I'll go on with that because you can take that negative list, and especially for the men, part of the honor and privilege that you have as the male in the relationship, we're the initiators. We are to initiate change and transformation in the marriage. And so, the way the Lord operates with us as the head of the bride, which we're a part of the bride, guys, and the way that the head of the marriage, who is Christ, operates towards us is that he takes those negatives and he's interceding for us because of those. Now, he's interceding on behalf of all of us because there's no portion of us that's good enough to be as him. He's got to fill us all. But he takes those negatives, especially those great weaknesses, those failures, and that brokenness, and he breathes through those. His intercession goes through the weaknesses because it's really essentially a lack of love at a foundational level that causes us to react in our negative ways, our negative tendencies. And so that's what sanctification is. The Spirit of God coming through us and through those broken places so that our weaknesses become strengths, because that's the places that we lean into the Lord the most. And so as a husband to our wives, we are to be operating in the same way. See, we're looking at our wives and understanding that perfect love as it comes to us and through us towards them is what heals their weaknesses. It's the healing that we get to do for them. It's we get to unpack the treasure. We get to protect and love in such a way that they bloom. So go ahead and take that negative list and let that be. Let the Lord begin to show you how to love them, so that those are restored. And so that if that would be considered a desert, then let's watch that desert bloom as you love and care for her. So it's a great love dare today. Hope you guys are taking this seriously and implementing these. These are practical things. This is the way it's done. And so I'm praying behind you guys, believing God's really doing a real work in the marriages at Tennessee Avenue. So bless you guys. I love you. Bye-bye.